used triangulation to capture the Senate in 2014. When I worked for Bill Clinton, one of the maxims that I articulated as part of my triangulation theory was to use your tools to fix their car. The idea was that every issue has an innate partisan skew to it. Crime, for example, was a Republican issue. And I said, use your Democratic Party tools, President Clinton, to solve the crime problem. Use your tools to fix their car. And he increased the number of cops in the U.S. by 100,000. He created a federal death penalty, passed legislation requiring that people serve 85% of their sentences for violent crimes, and he passed handgun controls, waiting periods, and background checks. And those, together with other measures, really reduced the crime rate and eliminated crime as a national issue and made it increasingly possible for Clinton to get elected. The same strategy worked in reverse when my friend Karl Rove applied it for George W. Bush. Education was always a Democratic Party issue, so he used Republican tools to fix their car. He used the tools of teacher testing, teacher standards, increased funding, the No Child Left Behind Act, to improve the school systems in the United States, and eventually passed that legislation. Now it's time for us to use our tools to fix Obama's car. Fix his wagon, but fix his car. The Democrats have made clear that their main issue is income inequality. And the Republicans should say, okay, it's income inequality. We agree. And the reason there's income inequality is your immigration policies, which are causing an inflow of workers at the bottom end of the spectrum who take away the jobs of Americans and who hold down the wage levels of Americans so that the bottom 20 or 40% can't move up economically, even as the rest of the economy is able to grow. The recent statistics by the Center for Immigration Studies are very revealing. They show that since the year 2000, there has been a decrease of 127,000 the number of Americans born in the United States who were employed, from 114.8 million to 114.7 million. And at the same time, there has been an increase of 5.7 million in the number of Americans who were not born in the United States, who are employed. That latter category includes citizens, non-citizens, green card holders, illegal immigrants, the whole range. If you live here and you weren't born here, you're counted in that statistic. So every single job that's been created since the year 2000 has gone to someone who is not born in the United States on at least a net basis. And in many, many of the occupations that immigrants flock to, construction, landscaping, hospitality and restaurants, and dishwashing and hotels and cleaning, the majority of the people who hold those jobs are native-born Americans. To say Americans don't want them is just not true. The reason a lot of Americans turn up their nose at them is that they're too low paid. And the reason they're low paid is because millions of people are flocking here willing to work for very, very substandard wages. That should be the basis of the Republican campaign in 2014. It all goes back to the concept that the Republican Party was founded opposing slavery. Because Lincoln said, how can your wages go up and lift yourself out of poverty when there are 5 million slaves willing to who can be forced to work for nothing? And the same issue now is true with immigration in the United States. You know, historically, the Republican Party was the one that favored immigration because Republicans wanted cheap labor, and lots of it. And the Democrats, who wanted to protect the union jobs and decent wage rates for the workers, opposed immigration. But now, because of ethnic politics, the Democrats have sold out their blue-collar union constituents, and we should move in where they vacated. Just as Ronald Reagan used the high taxes workers had to pay to steal them from the Democratic Party and make them into Reagan Democrats, so we now have to use the immigration issue to steal the blue-collar working-class Americans away from the Democratic Party. And the polling shows that large numbers of those voters, almost a third of them, fundamentally disagree with the Democratic Party when it comes to immigration, and buy the concept that their economic malaise is caused by the immigration problem, at least in large part. So use our tools to fix their car. Embrace their issue of income inequality and tie it squarely to immigration. That's how to win the election. Thanks for watching.